Doctor Who Season 15 was supposed to be a renaissance, a fresh start, a bold new chapter that promised to bring in a whole new generation of fans. And instead, it might just be the most divisive season in modern Doctor Who history. You've seen the headlines, the Disney deal, the insane budget, the return of Billie Piper in a regeneration twist that broke Twitter in half. And now, months later, the question everyone's still asking is this: did Season 15 save Doctor Who, or break it beyond repair? And the real answer? It's messy, it's complicated, and it's full of secrets the BBC would rather you didn't talk about. So buckle up, because this isn't just a review. This is a deep dive into the highs, the lows, and the brutal truth about a season that promised everything and left the fandom in pieces. Let's rewind for a second. Season 15 was marketed like a revolution. The first full series with Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. Russell T Davies back in the driver's seat. Disney money pouring in like it was a Marvel crossover. The trailers looked cinematic. The press interviews promised a bold new era that would rival the golden years of 2005. And fans, we believed it. Because why wouldn't we? The show had global streaming support, big-name guest stars, a creative team hyping it as the biggest season in decades. But somewhere between that promise and the season finale, the mood shifted. The excitement curdled into something else: confusion, frustration, even panic about the show's future. Let's talk about it: the Billie Piper regeneration twist. Yes, this is the moment that defined the season. The shock ending where Nkuti's Doctor splits into two beings during the finale, and one of them regenerates into Rose Tyler, played by Billie Piper. When it aired, the fandom imploded. Half the internet was cheering for nostalgia. The other half was screaming, "What is even happening to canon right now?" And that wasn't the only curveball. Season 15 leaned hard into lore, bending concepts, beat generation, alternate timelines, even whispers of the timeless child arc creeping back in. And whether you loved it or hated it, you can't deny this: it changed the rules forever. But here's the problem: did it make the show better? Or just more complicated than it ever needed to be? We can't ignore the mouse in the room. Season 15 was the first full series produced under the BBC-Disney partnership, and you could feel it. The budget was huge. The VFX looked like they belonged in a Marvel film. The marketing was everywhere, but that came at a cost. The show suddenly felt different. Bigger, yes, but also slicker, glossier, and for some fans, less like Doctor Who and more like Doctor Who the franchise. Was that a bad thing? Depends who you ask. Some loved the cinematic feel. Others felt the soul of the show was getting lost in the spectacle. And honestly, they're both right. For me, Season 15 felt like two shows fighting for dominance. One was the intimate, character-driven sci-fi drama Russell T Davies does best. The other was a blockbuster streaming juggernaut, trying to compete with Marvel and Star Wars. Sometimes they blended beautifully. Episodes like The Last Horizon and Doomsong were pure magic. Other times, it was like watching two tones clash in the same scene. And that raises the question I can't stop thinking about. What does Doctor Who want to be now? A quirky British sci-fi show with heart? Or a global mega franchise chasing clicks? Because Season 15 couldn't decide. And maybe that's why it left so many fans conflicted. In the next part, we're breaking down the forbidden truth. Which episodes worked, and which were outright disasters. The character arcs that saved the season. And the behind the scenes choices that almost derailed everything. And yes, we're going deep into that finale, because the Billie Piper twist wasn't even the most shocking thing about it. Before we jump, tell me in the comments, what's your gut reaction to Season 15? Lova IT, or had IT? Type your answer in all caps so I know how you really feel. And while you're doing that, hit subscribe right now, because what I'm about to reveal in part 2 will change the way you think about this entire season. Let's start positive, because when Season 15 hit, it hit hard. Episode 30. This was Doctor Who at its absolute best. Cinematic, clever, and deeply emotional. Ncuti Gatwa owned every scene, showing us a Doctor who's playful on the surface, but hiding layers of loneliness beneath. And that ending, when the Doctor realizes the collapsing planet was a test of empathy, not strength. That was peak Russell T Davies, writing hopeful, human, heartbreaking. Then there's Doomsong. Hands down, the most terrifying episode since Blink. If you didn't feel chills during that lullaby sequence, you might be a Cyberman. And can we talk about Ruby Sunday? Millie Gibson silenced every critic this season. She went from generic companion to one of the most emotionally complex characters since Donna Noble. Her arc, discovering her origins while trying to keep the Doctor grounded, gave the season its beating heart. So yeah, there were moments of brilliance. But then there were the disasters. Episode 60, Empire of Dust? What even was this? A CGI-fueled fever dream that looked expensive but felt empty. The script was a mess, the villain was forgettable, and worst of all, it sidelined the Doctor in his own show for half the runtime. And then, the finale. The episode that split the fandom straight down the middle. The twofold truth. On paper, it sounds genius. The Doctor faces a paradox so severe. He has to split into two versions of himself to stop the universe from collapsing. But in execution, it felt like three different endings, stapled together with nostalgia. We got Ncuti Gatwa at his most vulnerable. Brilliant. We got Ruby's sacrifice arc emotional. But then, the regeneration twist. Let's rip off the bandage. Billie Piper returning as Rose Tyler wasn't the problem. The problem was how it happened. Bit generation. The concept that a Time Lord can split into two regenerations was introduced without real explanation. It broke 60 years of established lore in one scene. And the logic? Flimsy at best. The show basically said, because time energy. Don't think too hard. And look, I get it. Russell T Davies wanted a moment that would make headlines worldwide. And he got it. But at what cost? Because now the canon is chaos, and fans are asking if regeneration even means anything anymore. Here's the kicker: whispers from the production team suggest this wasn't always the plan. Originally, the finale was going to end with a completely different twist. One that got scrapped last minute because, and I quote, Disney wanted a bigger hook for global audiences. Yeah, let that sink in. This brings us to the biggest behind the scenes bombshell. Was season 15 creatively compromised? Several insiders claim that, mid-production, Disney pushed for bigger moments, more spectacle, more brand synergy. Translation: make it Marvel-ish. Give us cameos. Give us cliffhangers designed for hashtags. And honestly, it shows. Some episodes feel like Russell T Davies trying to write heartfelt sci-fi while a giant mouse is whispering. Make it louder. Make it Chenier. Make it trend. Does that mean the season was bad? No. But it does mean the creative identity of Doctor Who is now walking a very thin line. Okay, your turnie. Do you think the Billie Piper twist was brilliant or a betrayal? Type TM Genesis if you loved it, or TMKHOS if it broke your brain. And while you're at it, hit Subiski RB because in the next part, I'm giving you my final verdict on season 15, plus the insane theory about what's coming in season 16 that nobody in the fandom is ready for. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Season 15 didn't just save or doom Doctor Who. It did something far scarier. It put the show on a knife's edge. On one side, you've got fans who adored the boldness, the spectacle, the sheer audacity of the Billie Piper twist. On the other, you've got purists who think Russell T Davies just set canon on fire and danced in the ashes with a Mickey Mouse-shaped torch. And me. Here's my honest verdict. Season 15 was brilliant and broken. When it worked, it was a love letter to everything that makes this show iconic: hope, heart, and storytelling that punches you in the soul. When it didn't, it felt like Doctor Who was trying to be something it's not. A glossy, algorithm-driven streaming giant instead of the weird, wonderful misfit we all fell in love with. Tiachigo Tbad Tiachtar Refien the good Ncuti Gatwa. Full stop. He wasn't just great, he was transcendent. Playful, magnetic, vulnerable. He made every line sing. Ruby Sunday. If you weren't sold on her at the start, you were by the finale. Her arc gave the season real emotional weight. The ambition. Love it or hate it, season 15 swung for the fences every single week. It didn't play safe. And in an era of formulaic TV, that matters. The bad pacing. Some episodes dragged like a Dalek with a flat tire. Others crammed 3 seasons of plot into 45 minutes. Tone clash. Half the time. It felt like 2 different shows spliced together: quirky British sci, VVS Disney event series. The terrifying canon chaos. Beat generation. Alternate timelines. Hints of the timeless child arc returning like a bad penny. If this isn't handled carefully, Season 16 could be a continuity nightmare. Where does Doctor Who go from here? Because here's the secret the BBC isn't shouting about. Disney's renewal deal? It's not locked for life. Season 15 had to deliver numbers. And if global engagement doesn't hit targets, there's a real chance Disney walks away after Season 16. And if that happens, we could be looking at another wilderness era. Or worse, a total creative reset. But if the show keeps the ambition of Season 15, while finding its soul again, Doctor Who could become unstoppable. Here's the wild theory circulating in the production circles. Season 16 is already teasing a multi-Doctor arc, but not the kind you're expecting. Word is, the Beat Generation concept isn't a one-off. It's going to become central to the show's mythology. And if that's true, we might see multiple, current Doctors, existing at once. Is that genius? Or absolute chaos? Honestly, I don't know. But I do know this. If you thought the fandom wars over the timeless child were bad, you haven't seen anything yet. Now I need to hear from you. Was Season 15 a triumph, a disaster, or something in between? Drop your verdict in the comments. Masterpiece. If you loved it, a YM. If you think it broke the show, or nice. If you're living in the chaos like me. And here's the kicker, which moment shocked you the most? The Billy Piper regeneration? The unit subplot? Or that final cliffhanger tease of the Corsair's return? Sound off below, because this debate isn't ending anytime soon. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, hit subscribe right now, because next time, I'm uncovering the scrap Doctor Who movie script from 2011 and why it would have erased everything you know about the show. Until then, I'm James Roxer. Stay curious, stay opinionated, and remember, in this universe, canon is only as stable as the person holding the sign.